You're not going to believe this. A major trade just went down, one that no one saw coming. Late last night, the 49ers traded Debo Samuel to the Washington Commanders for just a fifth-round draft pick. Yes, you heard that right. Now, the Denver Broncos will have to face Debo Samuel and rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels next season. That's going to be interesting, to say the least. But here's the real shocker. Many people thought the Broncos might actually get Debo Samuel. There were rumors that he had narrowed his choices down to Houston Texans and Denver Broncos. Some Broncos fans were excited, others were skeptical. The big question was, is Debo worth it? Would he bring more to the team than Marvin Mims, who is younger and maybe even a more focused player? Now, if you had told Broncos fans that Debo Samuel could be traded for just a fifth-round pick, most of them would have said, "Sign us up." But then the full story came out. The Commanders aren't just getting Debo, they're also taking on $18 million of his salary. That's a huge financial move. Meanwhile, the Broncos have $50 million in cap space, and spending a big chunk of that on a receiver who struggled to create separation last year? That's a tough call. Over in San Francisco, fans seem relieved. Many say this trade was necessary. The 49ers are one of the oldest teams in the league, and they need fresh young talent if they want to stay competitive. Just look at Green Bay. They're rebuilding with young, hungry players. Meanwhile, the 49ers were starting to look slow and comfortable, and Debo's attitude didn't help. Some 49ers fans even joked about a Pat certain for Debo swap. But let's be real, even if they threw in a couple of first-round picks, that deal wouldn't have happened. A fifth-round pick for Debo? That's a shockingly low price. Now, here's something to think about. We got more for Jerry Jeudy than what the 49ers just got for Debo Samuel. And sure, Debo might have a higher ceiling than Jeudy, but let's be real. He's older, he's injury-prone, and he's got that diva attitude. So, seeing him go for just a fifth-round pick? That's surprising. What do you think? Are you relieved the Broncos didn't throw $18 million at Debo? Or do you think taking a chance on him for a fifth-round pick would have been worth it? Either way, the Broncos front office made their decision, and they're clearly focused on the bigger picture. Speaking of teams making moves, the 49ers are in a tough spot financially. They need to clear a ton of cap space to lock in a Brock Purdy extension and a few other key deals. And here's where things get interesting. Dre Greenlaw, their star linebacker, might hit free agency. Before his Achilles injury, he was an absolute force on the field. If the Broncos could land him, that would be a game-changer. And here's another name shaking things up, Davante Adams. Reports are now confirming that the New York Jets are moving on from him. That this isn't just speculation. Ian Rappaport himself is saying the Jets are looking for a trade partner, and if they don't find one, they'll cut him. Now, let's be clear. I wouldn't touch his current contract with a 10-foot pole, but if he hits free agency and you could sign him for a veteran minimum deal, that's a different story. The Jets would still be responsible for most of his salary, just like what happened with Russell Wilson and the Steelers. And here's where things really heat up. Where does Adams go next? Rumors are swirling that Aaron Rodgers might head to the Raiders, which raises the big question. Could Adams reunite with him? That would be wild to watch. Wow! This weekend was supposed to be all about the NFL Combine, but instead, we got three major moves that no one saw coming. Debo Samuel traded, Dre Greenlaw possibly hitting free agency, and the Jets moving on from Davante Adams. That's some wild stuff right there. But let's shift gears for a second and talk about what actually happened on the field at the NFL Combine. Because while it's easy to get caught up in highlight clips, there's a lot more to evaluating players than just what they do in one weekend. Sean Payton was actually on the sideline, watching everything closely. When asked about Bo Nix, he had an interesting take. He admitted that Nix didn't throw well at the Combine, and that's not uncommon. Think about it. College quarterbacks come in, the balls aren't broken in, the stadium is air-conditioned, and they're throwing in a totally different environment. Some guys just don't shine here. In fact, Payton said they didn't fall in love with Bo Nix until his pro day. And that's the key. The combine is just one piece of the puzzle. A player's draft stock isn't just about a single workout. Teams consider everything. College tape checkmark, combine, performance checkmark, pro day workouts checkmark, interviews checkmark, medical reports. Now, here's what really stood out to me from the combine. This running back class is stacked. There are guys in the second and third round who could be absolute steals. Same goes for tight ends. Plenty of talent outside the first round. But here's the catch. The difference between the top safety and the fifth best safety is huge. Same with centers. So what does that mean for the Broncos? Well, at pick 20, it might make the most sense to go defense first, grab the best player available, and then scoop up a running back and tight end later in the draft. That way, you get real value at positions where there's still talent in the later rounds. One player who really caught my eye? Malaki Starks from Georgia. That guy looked like a beast out there. One name that's getting a lot of buzz? Malaki Starks. People are already comparing him to Derwin James, and if that's even remotely true, this guy could be a game changer in the NFL. But here's the thing, free agency is just days away, and the moves the Broncos make will tell us exactly what they're planning for the draft. For example, if they go out and sign Talanoa Hufanga from the 49ers, that probably means they're not drafting a safety. Now, let's talk about another name that stood out, Jared Wilson, the center from Georgia. This guy tested off the charts at the combine. He's one of the most athletic centers we've ever seen, and here's why that matters. The Broncos already have one of the best offensive lines in football. The only weak spot? Center. Fix that, and you give your rookie quarterback the best protection possible. Imagine a rookie QB stepping into the NFL behind an elite O-line. That's how you set up a young passer for success. And suddenly, the Broncos' draft strategy could shift from grabbing a tight end or running back early to taking the best defensive player or an elite center instead. But there's more. Wide receiver depth in this draft is legit. Some names are flying under the radar, but they fit exactly what Sean Payton looks for in his offense. One guy that jumped out? Dante Thornton. This dude is 6 feet 5 inches and ran a 4.3-second 40-yard dash. That's insane. That's the kind of size and speed combo that can stretch the field and create mismatches all over the place. Sean Payton has a vision for his wide receiver room. It needs to look like a basketball team. Tall, athletic, and built for mismatches. He's joked about it before, but looking at some of these prospects, it's clear he's serious. One name that fits that mold perfectly? Dante Thornton. This guy is 6 feet 5 inches and ran a blazing 4.3-second 40-yard dash. That's unheard of at his size. He led all of the college football in yards after the catch this season because he doesn't just catch the ball, he keeps running. And here's the difference between him and someone like Courtland Sutton. Sutton makes tough catches, but he's often falling to the ground. Thornton? He makes the catch and keeps going. That's why his YAC numbers are insane. He didn't drop a single pass in the gauntlet drill at the combine, and when you mix that with his size and speed, it's scary to think what he could do in Payton's offense. But he's not the only late-round receiver with serious upside. Another name that jumped out? Isaiah Neyor. Now, I'll be honest, watching Nebraska football isn't exactly exciting. Their quarterback plays like he's trying to be Patrick Mahomes but isn't quite there. But Neyor, he's different. His relative athletic score, ERAS, is off the charts. He ranks 11th all-time out of over 3,400 WRs tested. That's not just good, that's historic. Some people even compare his style to Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe it's just the way he wears that number. 18 jersey, but the athleticism is real. And guess what? He's projected as a late-round pick. This is what makes the Broncos' draft situation so exciting right now. Sean Payton is soaking in every detail, looking for the perfect weapon to pair with his quarterback. Free agency is just days away, and once the dust settles, we'll have a much clearer picture of how the Broncos are building for next season. One thing's for sure, there are so many ways this team can improve, and they're in a great position to make it happen. Broncos country, we've got a lot to believe in.